the door, and it was Sandra Brown and her mum, Mrs. Brown. And Mrs. Brown was, she was fuming. Oh, your daughter's done this. And my mum said, "Do you know why?" And she said, "No, why? What's happened?" So she said, "Well, I'll tell you, we don't have any money. We're really struggling at the minute. And we put together Paulette pram the best way we could. And we made it. And your daughter found that absolutely hilarious. And what's more, she was laughing at her, telling her she got a cardboard pram, and laughing at all her knitted clothes. And as a consequence, Paulette got upset and obviously did something naughty. And that's not forgivable, and we'll deal with it. But I want you to understand the reason why Paulette reacted the way she did, and that your daughter was very mean and horrible. Well, at this point, my stepdad had gone outside and lifted the drain cover, and the dress hadn't even dropped into the drain. It was just sitting on the top. It was shelf piece. So it was a little bit dirty. Quick wipe off a couple of bits, and it was good as new. So he presented the mother with the said wedding dress, and she was not angry anymore. She just said, "Okay, I'm going to go and talk to Sandra, and I'm really sorry. And Paulette, I'm sorry that you don't like your pram anymore because of what Sandra said. I think it's a beautiful pram, and I think you're very lucky to have it." And Sandra was like, "Really?" Sort of thing. And off they walked. Well, about 2 hours later, there's a knock at the door, and there stood Sandra Brown and her mum with a carrier bag full of dolls and dolls' clothes from last year's Christmas gifts that she had decided to donate to me. And I guess that's where my love of giving and donating and sharing comes from. Was that moment was so special that me poking her wedding dress down the drain resulted in probably a rather deep conversation between Sandra and her mum about what she'd said, what she'd done, and hopefully made Sandra realise it was mean. And then her way of making up for it was giving me last year's dolls that she wasn't going to play with anymore. So I got two new dolls, I got some clothes to dress them up in, and I was as happy as a pig in poo. But did that affect me? Yes. Did it make me want to never feel that way again? Did I never want a cardboard pram again? Absolutely. I don't want a cardboard pram. But what I would do is do anything I could to stop another child feeling that way. And that's why I do the charity work I do, not necessarily about trying to give something to somebody who hasn't got it is more important than just piling it on for someone who's already got so much. Got a bit choked up there. So I'll repeat that. It's so much better to give to somebody else and let them experience that feeling of being given to than to just keep piling it on for that same person because it means less and less to them. Whereas the gifts you spread out means so much. On that note, I'm going to stop preaching and go to Joni. Joni, over to you, my love.
Hi. Hi, Angel. How are you? I mean, gosh, I can't follow on you. You're just like, have these such emotional stories that are such a gift for everyone listening because we respect that. I think as humanity, we respect that. I would hope so. And I think I'm, you know, different than Kay. I was divorced. With a new child. I had cancer at the time. And that sounds like, oh, pity me. No, no, I was fine. And I really changed the way I kind of did all of my gift giving for my children. I they had to be there for all of our throughout the year. They're different times throughout our giving back. I don't think holidays are necessarily the right time to give back. I know more people are interested in doing that then, but I do think that throughout the rest of the year, it's very valuable. And so that's usually when I give back. But I told this story last year that my kids get to choose one of their presents out of their lot that they really like, and they have to give it to someone. They have to hand it to someone. And that is very important to me. And I don't want them because maybe their father has more money and I have less at this point in time to think that that's normal. It's just, it's not normal. So most children and adults live on a budget and figure life out on a budget and have, grace for other people who do not have as much as them. And so that is what I try to teach my children. And so, I've talked about this many times with my children wanting very expensive things like hair done or nails done or the most expensive hoodie in the world. But honestly, kids, they really want you. They want you to be okay. They want you to have hot cocoa in the living room with the tree done. They want to see their ornaments they made from preschool on the tree. And it's true. It's 100% true. It's how I felt as a kid. It's how my mom felt as a kid. We've talked about this. And so, yeah, do they want the iPhone 18? Is there an 18 out? But, they really want time. And so I have tried to implement in the past different vacations for us, not even vacations, just like going out to the Mississippi River and reading, Huck Finn or whatever. So, um, but I really encourage everyone, if you could do one thing, find a really great book that you loved as a child to give to your child or give to your niece, nephew, because a book is something special. And especially if you write a little message to them on the inside cover. So,
I absolutely love
in
that.
the Middle East.
And I love it. And the thing I would say is one of the things that I do is I collect books. I collect books from the village. So when children grow older, they collect them all. They all come here. And then we take them to comfort cases. Because the one thing that we do put in the case, this rucksacks of love that we call them, in the comfort case, we do put a book. Now, if it's my book if it's a 7 and under or a 12 and under, we sort of tend to go for what else we've been given. And sometimes you open up the book and there is a little message inside, and it's lovely. You can read it that it was for to somebody from somebody. But the children
It's
don't
emotional.
mind a second-hand book, right? A second-hand book is quite normal because think about libraries. Libraries are full of second-hand books. So we don't mind putting a second-hand book in the rucksack because we say everybody has second-hand books, right? Now, I believe personally that when we write a note to that child, we don't ever put a name or anything on it. We put our names, and I would just put in. We get a little card, and we just write a little note, and it will say, "Happy Christmas with love, Paulette. I was thinking of you." So that's all that child sees, and I might slip it in the book, or I might, whatever I do. And sometimes it will be my book, and that's really emotional. I'm writing a note, putting it in my book, tears down my face. But the point is, and now you've made me get a bit emotional, but the point is that we have to all understand that those are the things that are so darling. They mean so much to you, to me,
Yeah.
to your parents. It's traditions. And those things are going to disappear if all we do is focus on the big stuff.
Wow.
If all
Wow.
we do is focus
You
on the,
just had to do something more modern because I still open books from my Grammy that has my sweet Grammy's handwriting, and that's what makes me
mm,
like want to tear up. And I
yeah,
love it. And
yeah,
my children, before went through this terrible divorce. We were building a little library so that people could come by and take our old books. And I find books the most qualifying gift.
mm,
I gave my dad and my uncle and my mom different books from a used bookshop for the Christmas because they were here on Thanksgiving. I just sent it home with them, and I think it's a gift to explore the same words that your Grammy or grandpa, whoever,
yeah.
explored.
And
So
also, you're reading messages in these books, and and one of the books could even be a Bible. I mean, I don't want to get too preachy, but Bibles, um, or the Quran, or whatever it is you talk about as a book, it's so personal to you, and you probably have the same one all the way through your life. And you'll go to it, you'll read it at times when it's important to you. I personally am a great believer that when when we look to the heavens, whatever we're looking up for, whether we're looking for the Argos in the sky or in the Americans' case, the JC Penny in the sky, but what we're looking for is inspiration. We're looking for some sort of transmuting of thought. And why I say those words is because that's why we look to the skies. People say, why do you look to the heavens? Look to the heavens, blah, blah, blah. It's exactly what we're doing. We're trying to understand the situation or whatever. We have to teach our kids these skills. We have to teach our children how to appreciate, how to have gratitude, how to not be spoilt brats, how to contribute to society in any way they can, in every way they can. So we have a hat clear out. So we've got lots of hats and gloves, have a clear out, drop all the hats and gloves off at the homeless centre. Then as many people as possible get hats and coats. Coats galore if we've got them too. So, it doesn't have to be just for Christmas. It can be all year round to give. And as Joni said, it doesn't have to be. It's not like giving is only at Christmas. Giving is all year round. But it's particularly important at times where we are really aware that trying to teach. That's why I said about experiences, doing things together, going to the mountains, going to on a one of these as I said, escape rooms, or going skating, or going bowling. If that was a gift to all three children, dad and mum and the three kids all go bowling, and if you're lucky, you might get two games. If we're lucky, see what else you find in your Christmas sack. Somebody might even have a hot chocolate in their one for everybody at the bowling alley. Wouldn't that be a lovely way of everybody getting integrated into a something? So you're doing something together as a family, and with giving time is the best gift. And I
Paula,
think that, yeah, go coach,
can I jump in real quick?
go.
Um, I it was just really put on my spirit to share this. Um, and I wanted to say that the one of the things that because I think that sometimes we overthink giving, and it like you're saying, it really is the blessing is really when you are the gift. That's but nobody ever explained why it's better to give to them to receive. The reason that it's better to give than to receive is because you're not the one in need. You have the ability to give that makes you yourself the exact blessing, if you want to think from a monetary standpoint. And so I think that something that we often forget about is like the sick and the shut in and people that have no one for the holidays. Like this Thanksgiving, this is my first time experiencing a holiday without my family. It's only the people that actually make it a holiday for me. And I understand that everyone is different. But while I'm listening to everyone speak, the best gift that I ever got was my goddaughter, because I saw a part of me that I forgot existed in someone else. And all I could think about was, how can someone not love this child? You know? And there's many children like that out there. There's children in your family that feel like that. It's one of the reasons I haven't been on LinkedIn lately is I'm on the phone calling or checking on my nieces that people think are grown because they're in their 20s, but I know they haven't figured it out. There's a lot of invisible children all around us that need our attention. There's a lot of elderly that's sitting up in the house, maybe getting meals on wheels, and maybe someone sending them food, maybe not. But just imagine that if you and your kids got in the car and went and saw your eldest auntie, and you got to collect the stories, because I think that people forget that we are not always gonna be here. And once the body is gone, it's gone. If there was anything that I could ever go back in time and do, because I'm not a person that regret things often, is I would have asked my grandmother and her brother more questions. I would have just sat with them. Like I spent any time I could with my grandmother before she passed, because it's like the real gift is going back into that number one that gives you the ability to go back in time. When you can go back and talk to an elder, it gives you the ability to go back in time, and it gives you the ability to understand why you are the way you are. And when you think you're different, you actually find out you really not. Like, I'm supposed to be this way because my people were givers. I was sharing with someone recently that, because I'm like, I felt like I grew up around a lot of mean people, and so I'm like, God, why do you give me this heart that I care so much? But then I found out that my grandfather was a person that used to go and get fish from the fishermen after he fed his family. He built a fish tank and he grew those fish to feed the less fortunate families, so that they would have something to eat for the holidays and all year round. He grew the fish that nobody wanted, so that he could feed people in his town. And so it's like, I come from this. I'm not so different after all. And so the most precious gift in the world is time, because we all keep thinking we have time that we may or may not have. It's not guaranteed to anybody. And I've come so close to so many situations that in like 1 point something seconds, your entire life can change. And all you wishing and praying for is more time. And so spend time with the less fortunate. And if you don't have immediate family around you, go into these nursing homes where people have shoved their parents and their grandparents off. People decay faster when they don't have good energy around them. Your presence could actually buy somebody more time. You're on mute, Paulette. You're on mute, Paulette. There
Yeah,
you
I got it. Ben's my lips are moving, but nothing coming out. Ben's part of the Warwick choir, and they go around several places and they sing to the elderly. And I said to Ben, I think that's something I'd like to do. I said, I think I'd like to sing to the elderly. And he said, Mum, they'll pass out sooner. And I was like, that's harsh. He said, no, really, that's not a gift. But surely just, he said, sit and talk to them. They'd like that more. And I was like, oh, okay. So, that even now, as a 22-year-old, going around, they do a couple of carol services within the grounds when they like the trees, blah, blah, blah. They go out to various um, churches and uh, there's a couple of old people's homes. and they go out in smaller groups because it's a choir of 32 people, but it's a proper chamber choir. And they're like this, wow, who brought these people in? Whoa, And then Ben said there was this woman stood up and she had a frame. And I mean, I've walked with a frame before after one of my operations. And she stood up and she was trying to clap. And she was just about to go over because the frame was holding her up. But she so wanted to stand up and applaud them and clap. And Ben just said he saw me like going flying. So he just quickly reached over and she sort of went, "Wow, thank you, young man." And he said, he was like, "Oh, and I think tells that story, it means so much. We've done something right, you know, we're doing something right if we're showing our kids that there's more out there in the world than just what's going on in your living room. There's more going out on in that world than a pile of gifts, and there's far more in the world going on your doorstep. And when I realized how every single town in the UK has their area of poverty, every place in America has their place of poverty, and we don't see it because it's not under our nose. We might not live in that area where that poverty is, but if we get in the car and go look for it, it ain't gonna be far away, right?
It's right
And
next door to you, Paulette. Right next door.
well, there you are. And this is the point I feel that the more we can open our eyes to the world, the more we the more giving we get, the more giving we can become, and the more giving of ourselves and of our time, the more our kids will emulate us, and then they will be doing the same to their children. And that to me is our biggest gift. Our biggest gift is teaching our kids to go out into the world and be as kind and as good as they can be. And that does mean giving of themselves. And so, it might only be a few carol services and he might only pick one old lady up, but that's Ben's bit of giving. And of course, we all know the story of the I say the blind dogs, they're not blind dogs, the guide dogs for the blind. Ben's got a Christmas tree under his arm. A man jumps out and says, would you sponsor some guide dogs? And Ben was like, what are they for? They're for people that really need them. And this is Christmas, and he's got his Christmas tree, and he's just spent £10 in Tesco's on the tree, and it's only £10 a month, and it doesn't sound like a lot of money, and okay, yeah, I'll do that. He signs up on his bit of paper, and then he gets home with all his bits of paper about the guide dogs, these beautiful Labradors, which of course we had one, and he's looking at these pictures about, I think it was Moose and Goose they were called, and they've got pictures and everything else, and then he suddenly realizes 20 quid a month's a lot of money. So he phones up and he says to his dad, how do you feel about sponsoring a couple of guide dogs? Charles says, why, what have you done? And he admits that actually I came out of Tesco's and I might have given a week's shopping money to the blind dogs, he called them, but he means guide dogs for the blind. And the thing about that story is that he was compassionate enough to say yes, to stop, to talk, to sign his bit of paper. Then afterwards to go, oh, poo, I can't afford this. I'm a student. I'll get my dad to buy the guide dogs instead. And we've had 2 years of this, and they've just run out this year. In fact, next week they have finished paid. They've finished paying for the guide dogs, not in entirety, but £10 a month towards. But I'm so proud of him for actually seeing that. And then he also told me he came outside Greg's. We have a Greg's where he is at school, in the medical building, just outside. You can run about 10 minutes to Greg's. And he popped into Greg's and there was a packet of sausage rolls. And he came out of Greg's and there was a guy sitting there. and he'd got this packet of 4 sausage rolls, and he thought, wow, I've got a choice, because I'm not walking down the street with like a sausage roll in each hand, because that looks like I'm just a gut to git. So what I'm going to do is I either take 1 sausage roll and give him the packet, or I keep the packet and give him the 1. And then he decided that he didn't want to walk down the street with a packet of sausage rolls and feel that bad about it. So he gave the guy the 3 sausage rolls and shoved the sausage roll in his face as quickly as he could, so he wasn't walking down the street eating, because I told him not to do that. And he he felt really good about himself. Now, it's only a packet of sausage rolls, but it's the message that he will be a giver. And that's all we can do, guys. All we can ever do is to change this world that is so marketing driven, so money driven, so crudely speaking, it's a horrid capitalistic world we're living in. And we need to start being far more caring. So
George,
everything we can do is on that page. Now, Annie, before we go to Carmichael, what would you like to say?
hey, I want to say, Coach K, I love the fact that you brought in the elderly, because that is an incredibly important part of my life. And I think that can be an incredibly profound moment for children. Because, gosh, they they don't know. They don't know the amount of wealth of knowledge and kindness. So
Thank you.
I love it. Love it.
I,
Go
I
on, Annie.
really, I really have a thought. This. So Mike said my head was going to be, flaming earlier, or smoking earlier. I don't really feel strongly, Mike, so I'm all right. This is Paulette's thing, so I'll leave it to it. Mike does say his 2 grandkids are getting craft gifts this Christmas. That's sensible, right?
Perfect.
Yeah, this is me, Mike. This is me all over, my friend. Annie is so good at playing Grinch. That's me. That's me. Literally. No cards, no presents, just me, my happiness on Christmas Day. Leave me alone.
And a decent meal that you can eat from Christmas Day till.
Wait, and who's the little girl that's like Lulu or something? That's Paulette. With the little pigtails. That's Paulette.
Annie, drop your business email so we can fill it up with macaroni Christmas cards.
I might even work on Christmas Day. No, I'll try not to this year. I'll try not to. Lauren says children need your presence, not your presence. Oh, that's good, right? That's what Jesse Jackson said, apparently.
That's Jesse Jackson comment. Yeah, absolutely.
Mike says it's all about relationships.
Absolutely. And the key is we talk about what is the gift. The gift is you, and you can keep giving.
Yes,
because it is you.
Not just on Christmas Day. So the gift is giving your kids time, attention,
and teaching them how to be decent human beings, and not just greedy, grabbing things.
Yeah. So, Mike's doing his base. Amen. I did that for Thanksgiving. We went to a Welfare hotel, and so kiddos in their onesies, a mental picture still with me 25 years later. Yeah, so we can be the people who give, right?
Do you know when we go and wrap the Christmas presents for the children in care, you stand there for like 4 or 5 hours wrapping these presents. Your fingers hurt. That horrible papery feeling that you get after many, many hours. I don't begrudge 1 ounce of that pain, because it's just a little bit of pain, right? It's my little bit of pain of back and legs and whatever. I'll get over it. I'll take some drugs, whatever. The point is, I wrap those presents and feel good about doing it. I feel good for them, for wrapping them, and I feel good for me for giving of my time. So that you win twice. You win twice. You win twice because you gave your time, and you win twice because you know they're going to receive that gift in such a grateful way. So it is like a double whammy for yourself. So
Mm.
gifting is, about time, you know. Yes,
Yeah,
okay, we gave it to better than received, definitely.
I think I
Yeah,
like Alexis's way of looking at it. I think
very, very
you
good.
know I think when you all you're doing is buying as many gifts as possible, spend as much money as possible, it does become just a commodity, really. So Alexis is saying, she taught her kids to be more thoughtful, I guess, and more personal with the gifts.
Mm,
So when you give personal items to your siblings, for example, then that they liked, that has personal meanings beyond anything we can buy. That's why I look at that, Alexis.
mm.
I
And
think
I also like the idea of people all contributing. Ben wanted an iPad, and we could afford to buy him an iPad, but I said to him, "Have you
mm,
seen how expensive they are?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, how about if everybody contributes to the iPad?" And we got one of these markers, like that you could write on. And I got a cover, a metallic cover for it. But the outside of the cover was like a thick plastic. And we
mm,
used the marker pen. And everybody who contributed to that iPad wrote a message on the cover to Ben. Happy Christmas, Grandma and Granddad. Happy Christmas from Nanny. Happy Christmas from love, Mummy and Daddy. Happy Christmas from whoever, Jamie, Uncle Jamie, and Debbie, and the girls, and Jack. And the point is, everybody's name was on the front cover. Every time he picked that iPad up, everybody's name was all over that front cover. As that front cover wore to the point where it really was tatty and old. You know what he said to me? Can I have another one the same? And I was like, how can we possibly? We can trace the signatures, he said. And I was like, well, how about we just keep it and put it in a
mm.
box? And that's
Yeah.
what we've done. It's gone in his box. Does that not show you that one gift is enough because we all contributed to it?
Mm,
And he
mm,
loved it. And he's still got that metallic case with all our names on it. And I think the fact Nanny's dead now, I think the fact Granddad's dead now, I think the fact that other grandma and granddad are elderly, you know, his foster grandparents paid towards it. Absolutely everybody contributed. So he didn't have a pile of presents. Not a dot, not a dot. He got
mm,
the thing he wanted, and everybody's name was on that case. And
mm,
I think that's a way of teaching him a message that we don't just write a check, you
mm.
know?
Exactly.
And that's the key. Even if you can afford to, doesn't mean you should,
Yeah, and I
you
like what
know?
Lauren says. Lauren says children need to see what other children do not have.
Yes, my
So
bloody pram.
my mother took and I took my younger sister and her other sisters to Uganda to go to the war zone to see to live there to see what it's like as a gift. She's middle class. They've got the countryside in Hampshire mansion, so they can afford to do, you know. But no, Mike said something very similar. I like this, Mike. He said, I can't describe the feeling of giving. Same thing on my trip to Uganda. I came back with a deep sense of gratitude. It's giving, it's a feeling, right? It's that feeling of, real sense of gratitude for what you do have and what you can give. So Lauren said, I had my son donate his old toys before Christmas. Brilliant, brilliant. Was
Every
this,
year. Every year we used to do that, every year.
who's LinkedIn user?
A
Probably
lot of
Christian.
adults need to do that with clothes as well. I see so many adults hoarding clothes that
Mm,
they've not worn in like forever. And it's people like I break my clothes down where the ones that are like higher designers or whatnot, I give to places where people go to get free work clothes so that
mm,
it makes sense while they're walking around in this. But then I give everything else out to the homeless.
Mm.
because
It
it's
was.
like,
And so on that line of thinking, Coach K, I
mhm.
discovered Facebook Marketplace the other day. It's an amazing
You just
place.
discovered that.
I just did. I bought a whole kitchen. I bought a whole bathroom. I'm
Listen,
saying I never knew this place. That thing existed.
I've bought and sold on Facebook Marketplace so much, and I mean really great furniture to the
Mm,
point that
mm.
I oftentimes get all of my money back when I'm ready to move.
I tell you,
Because if I go to sell it first, because it's like stock, you buy low,
mm,
sell high, and you take care of
yeah,
it. And so
yeah,
there's I read this thing the other day that said teach your kids that chores are not chores, they're actually acts of self-love, because the truth is when you take care of your stuff you can resell it at a nice value.
they're pre-loved,
It's
right?
a form of
Really.
self-love.
I think for this conversation, whether if you got old toys or old clothes and those things are not being used, they can bless someone else's life, literally. They can be someone else's gift. And
Mm-hmm.
you can make money, and you can make some
Remember
money in return.
the story about Sandra Brown? I'll never forget her big bag of dolls and the clothes that she gifted to me from the year before that her mum had said to her, do you think Paulette would like? Right? And do you know what? We were best friends after that. I would bring her old dolls out, she'd bring her new dolls out. I didn't care. We got dolls that looked the same. I'd got
Mm-hmm.
clothes on my dolls that weren't bloody knitted. And
Mm,
felt like I'd won everything,
mm,
you know?
mm.
So somebody else's second hand something is another person's first hand theft,
Yeah, another one's
right?
treasure like that.
A lot of
One
people,
person's.
and
Exactly.
because it belonged to you, it make it special. Because
Mm,
people think you need a time machine to go back in time, and I kind of think like this. It's like when I take this, and my grandmother gave it to me. Those memories attached to this item is like a time machine. You instantly can go back and remember that moment, and it's just as real in your head as it needs to be because you're the only one that needs to see it anyway.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
that's how
Again,
it gives you
uh,
the ability to connect.
I think so that's another layer that we can teach our kids.
I'm in the
Not to,
quantum physics.
I think not to compare themselves to other kids. They're not, it's as Annie says, it's a thought that counts, and the thought with which your family, your friend, your siblings, your parents gave you that gift is it can never be matched by anything.
Hmm.
So
Upcycling is also a gift. Teaching them how
mm,
to upcycle and recreate. Like
I
this is
agree.
actually my piece of art that is not finished yet, but I'll be coming out with it next year. It's a piece of art that I drew 20 years ago, over 20 years ago in high school. I wanted to try something new, and instead of going to buy a new canvas, I decided to upcycle an old one, and I
Mm,
took pictures of the before, and it's like the amount of business creativity that comes out of me when I'm doing something childish is amazing. And so it's like I think kids should adults should be open to allowing kids to teach them how to be
mm,
kids
mm.
again, because that
Yeah.
was the thing, that's what made my goddaughter such a gift. I had to do certain things with her that I stopped doing because my children are grown. And it's
Mm,
like, wait a minute, more adults need to spend time as children. We're so serious, and we're operating in a way that God didn't make us all the
mm,
time because for economic reasons. And it's like, to me, fine, money is important. Then charge for everything. That's why I'm like, the way that I've created my classes as creative classes that teach. Probably
mm,
called edutainment. Um,
mm,
but
mm,
it's like teaching adults how that, like remembering that learning is not a job, it's actually fun. And when
mm,
you learn something new, that's fun. And if it's about money and being money driven, then it's like make that fun your new paid hobby and
mm.
add it to your financial machine as an additional income.
I agree. So again, I think it's flipping the script really. That's
Yeah.
say giving is not a chore. Doesn't mean that we
It's
go
a blessing.
without.
It means you are a
Yeah,
blessing that you have the ability to give. And because some people just don't have shit. And there's
I
no other
agree.
way to say it. People
Yeah, it's
get
true. It's true. It's
triggered
true.
by cuss words. But the truth
True.
is, I slept. There used to be a homeless guy sleeping outside my window. He didn't have shit. So anytime I had leftovers, if I go get something to eat, I'm gonna give it to him. If
Yeah.
people don't want all that holiday food 4 and 5 days later, go get some little containers. You might not can buy somebody a turkey or a full meal, but make 2, 3, 4 extra plates and just give from where you are. It makes
Give
you
me, give me a call. I'll come around and help you with good food, right?
and then it's like, but the thing is, blessings draw blessings. Like you are what you attract.
Yeah,
So
no, I hear you. I'm just being myself,
I,
right?
I, I, I actually, I'm going to go to Michael, but before we do that, I just want to say one last thing, and that is that when you see your child grow up and you see this adult now looking at you who is 6'2" tall and a big lad, I look at him and I remember the little lad that he was and how he was such a happy child. He was everybody told me all these horror stories about autism and what was going to happen, and he was never going to speak, and he was never going to go to proper school, and he was never, and there he is trained to be a doctor. You know, I mean, the whole thing is just such a pile of dog poo. But the point I'm making is I look at him and he would give you his last penny. In fact, I'll go as far as to say he'd borrow a penny to lend a penny. And I had to go, rein it back in. I've gone too far, right? I got to rein it back in. So, like with the dogs, it was a lovely sentiment, but actually, you can't afford to go around signing bits of paper for 20 quid a month because you can't. And he was like, you're right, I'm sorry. And I'm like, no, it's lovely that you did it, but understand you can't do it again because you shouldn't. There are other people who can do that. I've told the story about WaterAid. When WaterAid was on the television as an advert, and it said every 30 seconds a child dies from water pollution in Africa. And every time that advert came on, I would see my son look up at the clock. And he would look at me and he'd go, that's another one. That's another one, mummy. And I'd be like, why did I teach him to tell the time? You know, like this is such a conflict. And here we are phoning Nanny and Uncle Jamie and Nanny and Granddad and Auntie Liz and asking everybody to buy their WaterAid and pay for WaterAid. So I can tell him that I have phoned the whole neighborhood and all our friends and family and everybody's doing it, and therefore there's no longer a problem. So now we can watch the WaterAid advert and not look at the clock, because otherwise every time he looks at the clock there's another one's died. Can you imagine how that screws up a kid's head who's compassionate and caring? So I know I went too far with the caring and compassion when I know my child is so literal that every 30 seconds was that every 30 seconds. And it was on us to solve the problem. Mummy solves problems for a living. That's what she does. Go on and solve the problem, Mummy. I can't, but it's a bit bigger than me, right? I just know that we have to be mindful what we can do and what we can't do, but we must do something. Doing nothing is not an option, guys. Let's all look outside of ourselves and look outside of our families and look outside the windows and see who we can help and what we can possibly do. And I am absolutely convinced you will feel so much better inside. Your Christmas will be better. Your Hanukkah will be better. Your whatever will be better because of what you'll feel. That feeling of giving is amazing.
Right.
Vic,
Hold
over
on.
to you, Annie. Go for some comments.
Let's welcome Victoria. Welcome. So glad you're here.
Thank you.
Some inviting.
Sharon loves books. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, Sharon. Well said. I love books too, and give books. Yes.
For a different reason, Annie.
The book. No. Same reason. The books that you must give this Christmas are Paulette's Jack and Water books. Let me show you why, my friend. I have to take my chance to show this advert when I can, right? Here it goes. Music by the amazing Mike, of course. Here it goes.
Walter, #1 bestseller worldwide. Stories that inspire, becoming every child's guide. She teaches resilience, skill by skill, slowing worries down until they're still. Approaching issues with a stronger mind, building generations one heart at a time. When the storm clouds gather and you don't know what to do, take a deep breath, clear your mind, let the answer come to you. Walter's gonna be there in your present and your future too. So just stop and ask yourself, what would Walter do? What would Walter do? What would Walter do? What would Walter do? Not for profit, but for every child's right to handle smaller challenges, to stand and fight. The bigger stuff takes longer, that's okay, but confidence begins with what we do today. Trustworthy souls and integrity shine at Mental Wellness Cafe. She draws the line between drowning in the darkness and finding light. She lifts them up, teaches them to hold on tight. When the storm clouds gather and you don't know what to do, take a deep breath, clear your mind, let the answer come to you. Walter's gonna be there in your present and your future too. So just stop and ask yourself, what would Walter do? What would Walter do? What would Walter clear your mind? Give yourself headspace to think before you let the pressure make your spirit sink. Self-belief and talking to someone you trust, these are the tools that lift us from the dust. She champions the dignity of growing strong. Every child capable, they belong all along. Generations rising with the strength she's built. Paulette's legacy, a world without guilt. From Huntington to hearts across the globe, her compassion is the thread that she has woven and sewed. Adults and children, all walks of life, she's extending her hand through every kind of strife. Understanding, patient with the counselor's soul, making broken spirits feel completely whole. With Charlotte beside her, they both believe that every mind can learn, every heart can achieve. When you storm clouds gather and you don't know what to do, take a deep breath, clear your mind, let the answer come to you. Walter's gonna be there in your present, your future too. So stop and ask yourself, what would Walter do? 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 He reminds you of your strength and you can make it through. He'd be in your present.
I like how the song goes with the video. I really
It's
do.
lovely. Yeah, no, it's lovely. Absolutely. We really ought to go to Olivine because she's
We
been
do.
ages.
We
Oh,
do.
Helen Chietz is there. Hi,
Yeah,
Chietz.
welcome, African AI.
Natalie's doing a grand job.
Say Queen Lear as well. Welcome. So I saw you on earlier. I forgot to mention you. But I have now, right? I've shared the link to buy the book in case you're wondering. It is there. Has it shown up? Yeah, it's here. So, there are 3 Jack and Walter books. So, either 3 for the kid in your life or 1 for each kid in your life, right? Well, buy more than 1 set. Why don't you? Anyway, I've done my marketing bit, Paulette. Alvin, my friend,
Thank
I'll
you.
come to you. Please, what do you want to share about gifting and giving gifts to kids so we don't spoil them?
Hello, first of all. Hello, Coach K. Hello, Paulette. Hello, Annie. Thank
Hi.
you for inviting me. And thank you for all of these good insights. Let's say the old worker inside of me, because I used to work in daycares and I have, let's say, a certificate about it. would tell you that it is important to give gifts to children. But sometimes a gift to our children could just be, I don't give you the authorization to watch TV too much. It is an example, not like that. You need to explain why you don't give this kind of gift, because for them it could sound like you're punishing them. But sometimes you need to teach them how is the value of things, and by doing so you need to restrict to, to, let's say, to deprive them. It is not exactly that, because but if you let me give you a clear example to explain you my idea, okay? If you let your child in front of the TV, in front of a screen all along the day, with time, your child will have problem with his eyes. Okay, you would have to pay glasses. You would have to pay to see some doctors and doing more exams. So you have to tell to your children, no, you don't need to be in front of the screen every day, all along the day. So it is the same for everything. But we need to explain that with an age appropriate words. Because if you tell a child something with adult words, they will not understand you. So I think it is important to show them everything what we have outside, poor people, rich people, but with their ability to understand. Because if you take a child, maybe a 5 years old child, maybe this child would not understand clearly what's going on. So it is important, if you want to teach something to your child, it is very important to let them have the proper words with it, and the proper explanation, and the scene needs to be age appropriate as well. So for a 3 year old child, you will choose maybe a book in order to show them whatever you have to show them. And it is also about giving gifts to children. I agree, but we should not give them everything they want. For example, they want two laptops. I exaggerate a little bit, okay? They want two laptops. Why do they need that? So one is enough. All of us, we can agree with that. So we need to say okay for gifts, but not too much, because they could think in their mind that you know um, uh, they deserve everything they want, and we have to teach them the let's say the frustration, because if you don't teach them that, life would frustrate them eventually. When we are adults, we know we can't have everything, so we need to teach them that, not at the same level, okay, age appropriate every time, but we need to teach them that we can't have everything we want every time, and sometimes we have whatever we want, but we need to postpone it, or we need to put some efforts, etc. So it is a balance. According giving gifts, it is about, according to me, giving gifts, it's about having a balance between giving the right amount and the why, and with the right explanation. It is very important to be well balanced about gifts. That's my point about that.
Well said.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll just run through a couple of things, just because it will probably prompt other people to jump in as well. So to me, and this is the data that I found, part of the giving, over giving of gifts, is that we need to shift the focus from gratitude to that if we're not careful, we need to get to gratitude from entitlement. Entitlement meaning that everybody is just give me, I'm entitled. I'm, it's what I expect. My friends have got it, I want it. Entitlement is a horrible thing to be, whoever you are, adult or child. And if you are like it like a child, guess what? You're more than likely to be like it as an adult, because these are things that you don't grow out of. Include a mix of fun and useful. We've said that. Teach gratitude intentionally. One of the things I wrote down here was make sure that they write thank you notes, or at least text now, which is the new thank you note, right? But make sure that they do actually thank the people that give them things. So many people don't do that, and I think that's atrocious. Choosing a charity that you donate to once a year is a we do that. It's the thing we are quite, Charles is Oxfam and I'm Red Cross. They're just charities that we feel very strongly about. Packing a toy to donate is a great way of teaching, and Ben has always known about that. Expectations and boundaries, Olivine, which I think is very much what you're saying. If they don't usually get to watch films, in the afternoon, spending time in front of the telly, but it's Christmas, then the boundaries get washed out, because it's Christmas, they can watch what they like on Disney Plus or whatever. But it's, you give them a blessing of a bonus, because it's Christmas. It doesn't cost you anything, but it's the bonus of watching the film at Christmas. That's the sort of thing I like about the boundaries, and removing them occasionally. Showing appreciation, so important. Realistic expectations. I've had that conversation where it's going to be a bit of a tough year this year, right? So X, Y, and Z. Because I like the honesty in our family. If we've got a problem, and we've had a few in our lifetime, especially when we first set the company up, it was a bit touch and go. Fortunately, the company's 23 years old now, and well established and doing very well. But when we first set it up, it was a bit scary. And now I only own 5% of it. So, I just shows you my dilution. But the point is that when there were those touch and go moments, I was selling jewelry and doing whatever I had to do to make things work. And that's something we really need to think about. Model non-material joy, i.e. the fun, the crafting, the make, we used to put shows on. Our family used to do our own little show. I used to do puppet shows and silly things like that. We made these entertainments for people out of putting up a blackboard and, standing behind it with our hands and drawing faces on puppets and things, just socks. And it was the funniest thing, and making the whole family watch it was even funnier, because they were as bored as heck, and we was having the greatest time playing with our sock puppets. That was called poverty. But do you know something? We had fun with our socks. And then Mum boiled them, so all the drawing that we'd done on them washed out, and we still wore the socks. I've written down here, it often substitutes material gifts for emotional connection. And that was something that Sharon mentioned, substituting gifts because you feel like there's been an emotional lack. You haven't given of yourself because you've been busy working long hours, whatever. Or it's the competitive divorced parents game that happens as well. Or this one's buying this gift, well, I'll buy this one that's 3 times more expensive. That's all, that stuff is just horrible, vile corruption, and creates a real problem for kids. Guilt for being busy, trying to compensate for disagreements, divorces, etc., wanting to express love tangibly. I love you this much. Here's a car. No, I would much rather have had your time when I was learning to drive and you sat by the side of me helping me learn to drive than you giving me the car. Because, it's sad when, the parents haven't been involved in that kind of thing. Kids may interpret, I get lots of gifts, schismatic. I get lots of gifts, as in, I get lots of gifts equals I am loved a lot. Okay? Which then can become a lifelong pattern of seeking comfort or validation through material things. So we must be smart about this, because it really does stick in the mind. It can reduce intrinsic motivation. Children who regularly receive and get without a struggle will just expect. They will have less patience. They will have less tolerance. They'll be frustrated, and they won't work towards goals. They'll expect goals to be delivered in wrapping paper. We are having an issue with that if we're not careful. If their desires are instantly fulfilled, bing, life gives you everything. The skills associated with waiting, persisting, earning things, developing things, working yourself, working a Saturday job, putting your own effort in so that you've got some money to go and buy gifts for other people, or even if it's a lollipop for your brother and sister, whatever, just remembering that there's more than just you is so important. Take the I out, because too much me, it's got to stop. If their desires are instantly fulfilled, you will literally indirectly destroy that child's ability to work hard. Now, that's a horrible thing for me to say, but spoilt brats stay spoilt brats. Just saying. It can distort values.
How many more you got?
Just one more. It can distort values This is important. Leah's in the room. It can distort values around money. Kids form many beliefs, and if they think there is an overriding amount of money and there are no financial limits, that goes with them in the future, that they will expect the biggest and the best forever. Diamonds every Christmas, Annie. Could you imagine? Your poor wife,
She's never had
lastly,
diamonds, that's for me. I'm gonna start this year.
Here's the very last one. I think this is really interesting. It can create comparison and competition. Hence me and Sandra Brown, and me poking the wedding dress down the drain, because I was just destroyed and distraught by what was said. Shift the holiday from connection and scorekeeping and me, I've got, you got, to just, aren't we lucky? Aren't we lucky? Aren't we lucky we've got each other? And the healthy alternative is to just take an approach of love and giving.
I think, and Sharon Rose says it all, in one simple sentence: entitlement is awful.
I never in one simple
and
sentence.
And don't grow out of it, is what she, that's what you said in a very long way, Paulette, very long way. And I say, I like what Mike says. I said Mike's point, struggle is part of growth. And maybe explain to kids as well that you can't have everything because that's it. Now, let's say we have to let kids be disappointed, as Alavin said too. Yeah, you can't have everything you want, and that's part of life. Let that sink in, okay? Learning is a very important point in life. And last, I want to show you Yolanda. Yay! My goal's been achieved. Go buy the book for your grandson Prince. Good for you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank
Go
you.
for that wrap up, then we can go.
I've got Mike on the stage, and poor old, I don't think Calm got a word in edgeways. So I apologise, guys. I hope you don't hate me for it. I think Annie wants to rush off, so I think we need to wrap up.
Talk to
Annie,
Mike. Let
can I
Mike talk.
talk to Mike? And I think we've got Malcolm and Mike on the stage. So Calm. So Mike, should we go to Calm quickly? Calm, can you just do 2 minutes because I'm in trouble here? Nope.
So
Okay.
Calm is gone. Calm is gone.
Okay then. Mike, over to you. Thank you. You're going to be our last speaker.
Thank you. Number one, I just wanted to thank Annie for playing that. It was actually a bit of a Christmas gift for me because, I just do this out of giving, and you having heard that gives me something back. I don't know how to explain this. It's almost a paradox that when we give, we receive much more, and I really try to live life like that, and to teach our children that is also true, because I don't even know. It's you will have so much joy. You had mentioned, or someone had mentioned, comparison. Comparison is the thief of joy, and it's but the the medicine for that is to give, and I really really hope that these people that have too much. I mean, you see these pictures of very wealthy people. A lot of times they're not happy. So material wealth is not necessarily bringing happiness, and it's often not bringing relationship. And I think that's the key thing. And regardless to everyone's point of the holidays, we should be doing this every day. But I think the holidays, to me, and particularly Christmas, because I follow the way, so to speak, has special meaning. But and that special meaning was giving. And I think, to me, that's what Christmas exemplifies, is that spirit of giving. And I don't, I find no fault in that particular gift. But I also think that, what I wrote about struggle is important too, because we're robbing our children of, if we're just giving and giving and giving and giving. And it's also time too, meaning if we're just particularly if it's too much. I'm not saying it'd be hard pressed these days to have too much time with your children, but um, there has to be that balance, that you are drawing appropriate boundaries and teaching. I think the one thing sometimes we forget is that this is a progressive thing, right? So when they're young, they need to understand things, a little narrower. But as they grow older, it's really important for them to start to understand the whys. Someone had mentioned about that, is it's really important to understand why we're doing this. So not just that we're doing it. Sometimes when you're younger, you just have to follow the rules. But and the same thing is true about this, is to expect. And someone had mentioned expectations. Expectation is so important to control, because if that expectation is just constant, and it's also transactional. It's like, so if I give you money or if I give you gifts, that's relational. I'm like, no, that's not real relation. And like, one of the things I had mentioned, I had given a craft gift. Well, they're going to actually have to create. It's a crochet type of thing, and they're called wobblies. I've never heard of them before, but that's something that they wanted. And my daughter is very craft oriented, and that's something that they'll have, that they have done with their hands. And I again, I think if we can get people to, or the kids, to think in that regard, versus just here's X, here's the latest video game or something. I don't know. I just think it's so important to
Absolutely. Mike, one of the things that we've just got some decorations out, and
one of the things I've got, which I treasure, was Ben at the age of 3.5 sitting on Santa's knee when it was allowed back in the day. And there's a photograph of him, and they put it inside a snow globe. And it's only a plastic snow globe, so it's well wrapped and treasured. And I have to tell you that that comes out every year. And these funny little spiky, they're only about this tall, and they're like rubbery, spiky reindeers and whatever. And I know the first thing that Ben will do when he comes home at Christmas will be look for those to be out in his room on display in his room, because that's what we've always done. And it's about those things are those traditions are more important than anything else to me, because all of those little things, every week you went with grandma or nanny to Woolworths. We used to have a shop called Woolworths, and they used to be £1, and he was allowed to get one, and gradually he's a real collector, and he has to have the whole set of everything, and they collect them over the course of I think it was 8 weeks. And that's a memory of his nan. The shaker is a memory for me. And all these things mean so much. And that is what, to me, when we talk about teaching our kids the value, it's valuing the people that were past and present, valuing the people that have left us legacies, valuing those legacies and passing them on. And so it's got to be more than just a bloody piece of plastic or a phone or an iPad or a computer or whatever. It's got to be about you investing you. If you're investing you in something, then trust me, they will have this forever, and they'll remember it forever, and it means something. So on that note, I would like to say thank you to everybody, and my amazing co-host Eni Osung, who is not just my co-host, he's a friend, he's my publisher, he's my man. I've got one called Charles, and Eni's sort of the other one.
And Teddy the dog.
Teddy the dog, yeah, he's my other man. Yeah, he's snoring all the time. But no, it's really important to say thank you to you, and thank you to Mike for that song. It's a blessing, it really is. And my other blessing is my wonderful friend Coach K, who doesn't do this for everybody. So I know that her coming on here today was for me, and that's my blessing, and that's her gift to me. And I thank you for that, Coach K. Lovely Kimberly, you are a blessing to me. So thank you. I don't know if you're still with us. You may have left the room. She may have gone for a wee.
No, I'm here. I muted myself.
Well, I just said you're a blessing, and thank you for coming, and thank you for being on stage, and thank you for being part of an important, a very important topic.
You gave me the gift of friendship, so you really are proof that you don't have to be right in someone's face to be a good friend. I really appreciate the friendship that we've developed over time, and you're one of my favorite people literally in the world.
Am I your only white friend?
So no, actually, there's one other one. Her name is.
Oh no, that's it. We're done. We're finished. And
she's actually a diehard Republican. I think about it, we're polar opposites. But she was the executive assistant at AT&T, and I remember she came to me and said, "Can I pray for your son?" And she went to the hospital. She was one of the few people that in my life that actually went to see my son when he was in the hospital. And this year on my 40th birthday, when I sat in a house alone, she was the one that sat on the phone with me for like 2 hours. And so I cannot do that to her, although I know she's not on LinkedIn or any of these other platforms.
All right. I'll be your other white friend. but it doesn't matter because I am still in that category.
But
I've got,
there's no other you for sure.
that's for sure. God help the world for a second one, I tell you. But listen, I really appreciate all of you, and you're all gifts, and you all keep giving. And Annie especially, where you gone? Have you gone to catch a mouse, Annie? Come back.
We ran them off. I can't say you're my only white sister. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Hang on a minute. Annie, come back, Annie. No, it's gone. No, here he is. You're the gift that keeps giving, aren't you, dear?
100%.
He says, sod off, I want to go. Right, okay, I just lip read. Okay then, guys. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you. Take care.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
She retrained her heart to heal the young, turned her passion into purpose, work begun. Co-author of a movement, not-for-profits game, teaching kids that self-belief can ease the pain. Every child deserves to face their fears with measured thinking, not just tears.